the great privilege in my life of serving in government from the time I was little, not serving in government, but working in politics and involved in government since I was like literally 6 years old. The first time my parents took me to help Henry Bellman run for governor of Oklahoma back in the 1960s. And I've had the fortunate experience to go from all the way from that to the White House, serving as President Bush's first Undersecretary of Homeland Security. And in that position, I've had both the honor, the privilege, and sometimes the comedic relief of working with 50 different governors. Every time there was a disaster in this country, from 9/11 to Hurricane Katrina and anything else, it always affected at least two U.S. senators and at least one congressman who thought they were king of the world. But the real king or queen happened to be the governor of the state. And I can tell you it was a real privilege to walk into, say, Florida, and to sit down with Jeb Bush. In the midst of a crisis, understand that Jeb and I could sit there and we could make decisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what needs to be done. And then go out and execute on those decisions. The same is true with Haley Barbour or Bob Riley in Alabama. And then you go to California for disasters in 2003 and you're on a helicopter with Gray Davis. And you're trying to understand, Governor, what do you need? What can the White House do? What can we do to help you? And you can't get a decision out of a governor who's more concerned about how his hair is coiffed or what kind of television coverage you can get. Or you go to, for example, on 9/11, you go to New York, you've got Governor Pataki and Rudy Giuliani, two incredible type A personalities clashing with one another. But a governor willing to sit down and say, here's what needs to be done, Mayor, this is my state, this is what we'll do. And then I remember one time getting in the car and my staff having told me, the governor wants to travel with you from point A to point B. I'm not going to tell you who the governor was for just a second. And I get in the car and I'm like, okay, Governor, how you doing? We've got about 18 minutes here before we get to the next destination. What can I do for you? Hang on. Just to pull out the old BlackBerry. I need you to A, do this, B, do that, C. Okay, Governor, I'll do it. Rod Blagojevich. And I can remember one time being in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, before my infamous departure from federal government, sitting down with the governor and talking to a governor about what she needed. And bless her heart, I used to have this aunt named Aunt Sis. I love her to death. She's now deceased. My Aunt Sis was the greatest woman in the world. But I would have never looked at her governor of any state. Kathleen Blanco was my Aunt Sis during Hurricane Katrina. Governor Blanco just couldn't make a decision. She was overwhelmed. So let me tell you as a Coloradan that while we may not face a Hurricane Katrina, I hope we never face a 9/11. But we do have our share of disasters. We have our share of crises. And when we have that crisis, whoever is the Undersecretary of Homeland Security, I want them to be able to get in that car with that governor and not worry about whether the check's going to be signed or not. Not worry about, hey, I don't know whether I'm going to be governor or not be governor, all this sort of stuff. And I don't want it to be someone who pretends to have ridden a horse but really doesn't ride a horse. I want it to be someone who can actually make decisions. Someone who in the midst of a crisis, when all that pressure is going on, because the governor's in charge of the state. It's not the U.S. Senator. It's not a United States Congressman, as you well know, Congressman. It is the governor. And so I want a governor who is willing to make tough decisions and stick with those and do what's right for the state and not worried about, did I give money to recreate 68 or was that somebody else? I want a governor who understands what it means to lead. I'll tell you a quick story about Tom. He sat in my radio show, a week or so ago. And if Mike Kaufman listens to this, I told Kaufman I wasn't going to do it because he can't steal it from me because I said it to you first. We talked about the budget process in Colorado, and rather than giving me the typical BS that many people do that come on the show. Tom had 3 or 4 answers. What he'd do with the parrot, what he'd do with this, what he'd do with that. And I'm looking at him and I go, my God, it's Chris Christie right here in my studio. I want a Chris Christie one in this state. And that Chris Christie is Tom Tancredo.